Hello, day 8 by my reckoning. Almost a stone lost in a week. Just a sigh. You can see that in the bottom corner over here. What's happened today? Been to the food bank. First trip to a food bank in my life. They were good people. They gave us an awful lot of food. Poor Merlin has to go with that, apparently, unless the tin of salmon is for him for 3 days. Which is also another issue because, hey, I only managed to get this voucher because I was at the hospital at the time in Barking, which is about 3.5 miles away. If I want to get another voucher to go to a food bank, remember I'm supposed to be going to a food bank because I've got no money. If I'm going to have another voucher, then I have to basically walk all the way to Barking Hospital, 3.5 miles, then walk from Barking Hospital to the Abbey Road Sports Centre, another 2 miles, and then walk 5.5 miles back home with the food bank items, which seems a bit ridiculous. And I say I have to go to the Abbey Road one because the only other one nearer me is in Chadwell Heath, and that's 1.5 miles away, and it's only open on a Thursday for 2 hours. So any other time, I have to go all the way to Abbey Road. They don't give you any allowance to get to the voucher or to get to the food bank. So basically, once a week, I get food. And then I have to make 3 days worth of food last for a week. Fair enough. I suppose that's the system. No one's really thought it through, which is the incompetence I have to suffer with Barking and Dagenham Council. And I'm getting on to him now, John Cruddas. Not exactly my favourite man. In order to escalate this issue, I contacted a few people this morning. Parliament, Parliament first. They couldn't help me. This is to put a complaint about John Cruddas and his behaviour towards me. Parliament were very nice. They put me through to the Office of Parliamentary Standards, but before they did, they said they probably wouldn't be able to help either. The Office of Parliamentary Standards said I would need to contact the local Labour Party. I tried contacting the local Labour Party in Dagenham. On their website, they've got a mobile number which doesn't seem to ring. It goes dialing, but I left it dialing for about a minute and it didn't seem to get through. Didn't even start ringing. So then I contacted the Labour Party headquarters and they were very helpful as well. Everyone seems to be very helpful. It's only when you get to John Cruddas and my local council, generally, some people in the local council are brilliant, but the majority of people I have to deal with are absolutely dire when it comes to customer service. I spoke to the Labour Party headquarters. I have emailed them previously and the email seemed to go on deaf ears, but I spoke to them thinking, well, there's only one way of escalating all this. And they were very good. They said I would need to get in touch with the Right Honourable Nick Brown MP, the opposition's official chief whip. So I've left Nick a voicemail and I've sent him a couple of emails today. One including quite a lot of information that I've just sent to the Samaritans again, and also both my contact numbers and, thanking him for any assistance he can give me. So that's the only thing that's happened today. I did get an email from John Cruddas today, which was no better than pissing in the wind, really. He said, basically, to paraphrase his email, he's drafting a response covering all my issues because he's been in touch with various officers of the council, and it comes across as he's been responsible for a lot of the meetings that I've been going to this week regarding social services. So it looks like my hunger strike is falling on deaf ears as well. But the reason I say it's like pissing in the wind is because he hasn't he hasn't contacted me first. He hasn't verbally spoken to me. So he's only got basic information in my emails to go on. And he hasn't told me exactly what issues he's responding to. Nor has he actually told me anything about any investigation into the abuse that the council, Barking and Dagenham, are perpetrating against me. So really, I'd rather him not contact me if he's going to treat me like a blooming idiot, because that's how it comes across. I'm better than you. You just cope. But this is exactly the same standard of work that the council gives me. Instead of giving me the information I've asked for, they give me a rough bit of information. So John Cruddas is the standard by which the council work to, apparently. And the standard, this is the other thing. I had an email from someone at the council this afternoon. I think it was an out of office from Janet McNiven. And she's in the social care team, the mental health team. And in the out of office, there was 4 mistakes in her part, and at least 2 that I can remember in the corporate disclaimer. So I put 2 complaints in because I think it's poor customer service. I put 2 complaints in, one against Janet and one against ICT for the corporate disclaimer part. I have one email back from the acting head of complaints regarding Janet's email. Nothing regarding the ICT email, just the one regarding Janet's. Yes, the acting head of a complaint did actually copy in the email which I was complaining about, which they hardly ever do unless I complain that they haven't included. Because normally what I get from corporate complaints, if I do get a complaint logged, is just a generic email with a reference number. It doesn't tell you what the context of the complaint was. It doesn't give you a clue. If you log 3 complaints, you don't know what the number they're logging is, or whether that one is a complaint against all 3. So yes, she did respond, but basically it's the same old nonsense from Barking and Dagenham Council, which is putting people at risk. They won't understand this, but I'm sure some people will out there in YouTube land. They have responded that they haven't logged the complaint. They have noted it, which, incidentally, they also noted a similar complaint about ICT about 3.5 years ago, and it doesn't look like any action's been taken. But it was noted. And that wasn't logged either, just noted. But unless they can't log the complaint, I've been told, again, that doesn't involve any harm. Sorry? They wait for people to be put at harm before they log a complaint. Surely, complaints is all about preventing harm and poor service, rather than waiting for something to drastically happen. And besides, like I emailed this afternoon, there was plenty of time for corporate complaints to return the email. But as I say, I'm still on the vexatious list. No one wants to talk to me. I get one shot at this, and I don't get any other responses normally. Ever since about 3 years ago, when that 7-year email war went on, because no one was giving me a straight answer to a simple question. Yes, so that isn't getting anywhere, basically. They have to put you at risk, or you have to have suffered harm. Quotes Barking and Dagenham Council. They don't log any complaints if there is no harm. Now, I would like to know, one, how they justify or qualify what harm is. Because I've got anxiety, Asperger's, depression, all sorts of stuff going on. And every time I get a stupid email, or not so much stupid, but an unprofessional email for which anyone in a customer services role in a private company would be sacked for, because I have seen people sacked for less. So obviously standards in public life are a damn sight lower than standards in private corporate life. That is wrong. Standards should be the same, or indeed better. The public sector need to go back 30 years and actually have the standards they used to have. Since I left the Inland Revenue 20 odd years ago now, standards have fallen in public life. Public sector were never allowed to get away with the stuff that Barking and Dagenham are getting allowed to get away with now. Standards used to be high. Now they're allowed to have 4 spelling mistakes on the 3-line email and an incorrect phone number published via the corporate disclaimer at the bottom of all emails. The phone number is wrong. If you dial the number they publish, it won't get you anywhere if you dial it exactly as published. I have told ICT, I've put complaints in because there isn't a contact email for ICT, otherwise I'd email them directly. At least I don't find a contact email for ICT, and I've tried. Trust me, I have tried. I have told ICT via the complaint system, which just gets noted and ICT probably aren't aware of, that their email server, the Exchange server, the Active Directory server, somewhere along the line has been set up wrong, and it has been set up wrong for years. It's inconsistent with the email addresses, it's inconsistent with the naming conventions, and it's set up for a US telephone format. They must be aware of this. It's sloppy work, it's shoddy, it's unprofessional, and it should not be allowed. Just because no one seems to be at harm, well, if someone tries to use the phone number on the bottom of the corporate disclaimer, and that's the only phone number they've got, and that isn't wrong, yes, people can be put at harm. They might not see it, but I'm sure most sensible people will. So if they're advertising a phone number that doesn't exist, bad. If they're writing 3 lines of an email to say they're out of the office and they get 4 words in 3 lines wrong, bad. If that email is coming from the mental health team, that is just as bad, because that is even worse, because they should be aware of some people's issues when they get so many errors in one little email. The odd error I can probably overlook as long as it makes the general gist of the email makes sense. But major things, like I said the other day in one of these vlogs, major things like sending an email without a subject line, because that can get blocked and filtered by a lot of email systems. Major things like the corporate disclaimer, which is a check once and publish. You've only got to get it right once, so you check it a few times, before it goes live. I've had to do corporate disclaimers. I've had to check them. I've had to get them double checked. It should go through at least 2 people. And if it doesn't, then the system in ICT in Barking and Dagenham are wrong. I don't know if it was done when they were in-house or out-house, but I know a lot of ICT is in-house still in Barking and Dagenham. I knew people that were in the department. I used to work with some of them. I even know the systems because I've worked for 6 or 7 councils. So Capita, Northgate, all those systems, worked with, supported them. I know how they interact. And yet, Barking Dagenham will never ask about the systems. Oh no, we can't give you that information, Mr. Gibbons. Really? Well, it's on public domain. It's nothing special. I'm not asking for passwords or security features or how they've had it customised. Just what systems and how old are they? Because I've got a funny feeling Barking Dagenham aren't paying for the full updates on some of their systems, judging by some of the printouts I've received. So, I've sent that email over to the Right Honourable Nick Brown MP, the opposition's official chief whip, and we shall see what happens tonight. I've even, as part of this email, not only to Nick Brown but to John Cruddas and David Simmons, the local government monitoring officer for Barking Dagenham, who after 4 days still has not responded to any of my emails to him, and I would like an answer as to why he hasn't taken any of this personally on. He's the bloke at Barking Dagenham, just for your knowledge. Every council has one, and he's this bloke that you're supposed to be able to take all your complaints to if you don't feel you're being satisfactorily treated by that council. So every council has a local government monitoring officer. Contact my council on General Switchboard. No one knows what the LGMO is. No. So for 2 years, because I didn't know who the LGMO was, because I phoned up and no one knew, I've not been able to take this any further. Well, apparently, it doesn't look like contacting David Simmons at Barking Dagenham Council does any good anyway, because he hasn't responded. I've not even got an out of office for David, so I'm assuming he's in the office and he's ignoring my email. Also, regarding out of offices and the way the server's set up, for years now I've been complaining that they've actually turned the ICT team, under someone's instruction, can't find that out, under someone's instruction, turned off the auto acknowledge, the auto receipt function on the Exchange server. Whereas before, you could send an email into the council and get an auto response back saying this has been received, that hasn't been received. You'd know within minutes whether the email has got through to at least the server. Never mind the mailbox, you'd know if it reached the council. Since they've turned that off, it leaves people like me with Asperger's and anxiety not knowing. Because now they've got this up to 5 days response time, I end up sending an email every day to find out if they've acknowledged my email. And of course, they see me as even more vexatious in that point, but all I'm trying to do is find out if an email has been received. One email, and I have to send 5 or 6 emails to find out. Whereas before, I'd send one email and instantly know within minutes if the email was received on the server. And I've asked them to turn it back on, but they just ignore my request. It's a good public service. Customer service is making sure the customer is fully aware. I could train the council, I could train John Cruddas, because, his customer service skills, he did get taught by Barking Dagenham Council, I'm sure of it. Because even after his one email, he's personally emailed me this evening, why no phone call, John? Why no face-to-face? He hasn't apologised in his email tonight for no face-to-face, and he hasn't apologised for a lack of communication. He's just put in that he's just been busy trying to get answers to my issues. Well, tell me what issues you're getting answers to, John, because I still don't know, and I'm going round and round in circles. So, along with my sick note and a 2-page memo from my psychologist, let's see if that actually improves things. Anyway, that's all for tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support so far. And hopefully by day 9, I should have a bit more positive news for everyone. Please. Because I want to eat again. I'm looking forward to a good pizza. And this is not the way I do weight loss, in case anyone thinks, oh, he's not on a hunger strike, he's just dying. No. I've done Slimming World twice. I know how to diet. This is not the correct way to do it. You have to have a little food. I'm having nothing. Someone criticised me. One of my family members criticised me. Oh, you're on a hunger strike, are you? And you're drinking milk. Really? He doesn't know what hunger is, obviously. So I'll say nothing, but he's from, my sister's family, about 200 miles away from London. Let's put it that way, to the west. They thought when I drove up in a red Fiesta 30 years ago now, that everyone clambered round and said, oh look, Uncle Billy's driven up in a Ferrari. Seriously? Just because it was red? It wasn't even the right colour red. Anyway, good night. I shall speak to you tomorrow.